Welcome back. It is day 27 of the new account. We have that monthly card we got yesterday, which is nice. Stacking up those diamonds. Need to get ready for Bayek. Let's go ahead and see if we got anything interesting from the guild boss. And we do need to work on our Titanic runes for the week. Nothing too revolutionary there, although eventually that will be very nice. Need to get our skill up for Maurix. All right, I'll take it. All right. Always nice to have more guild currency. So I think what we're going to do today is work on Apoc. If we look at this, I may want to try to break into Apoc1, even though last week we didn't hit the top chest of Apoc2, because we didn't hit the top chest of Apoc1. But if we look, if we get the second to top chest, we get 10 items from here. Going to the top chest is 11 items. But if we look at Apoc2, even hitting the bottom chest is 12 items. Then we start to get access to potentially even some crafting for artifacts, which isn't really worth a lot of energy where we're at in AMR. So I think I'm going to kind of do some of the daily chores of the account, look at all of our characters, and we're going to try to do at least bottom chest, if not second chest in Apoc2, and then cobble together another team. Even if we get the bottom chest, we get 7 items. So the difference between top and bottom is 4 items. So yeah, I think that will be the plan. I'll be right back. I just wanted to bring y'all back for something pretty interesting. I was able to make this last guild donation, so we're actually able to claim Ezio. I thought that was pretty cool. I may incorporate him. I probably definitely will incorporate him into one of our Apoc runs, although I don't have enough fodder to get him to level 60, so he may go in the Apoc1 run, but I still think that's pretty neat. Based on the other CCs that I've watched, he's supposed to be essentially the best free unit we've ever gotten, although not necessarily like, highly awakened Kagiri or Sun Wukong or something like that. But yeah, that's pretty cool. I obviously don't have test server, and I'm not sure I'd be super interested in spending a lot of time grinding away on the test server. I think it's, for me personally, a little bit more interesting to see characters like this in the context of a new account. But let's take a look at his skills pretty quickly. So I think the most disappointing thing is his range. If he had one more range, you could use him in, non-boss content more easily. His ultimate gives you that range, but if you want him to be able to handle a lane, it doesn't work so well. So it looks like he is a tactician. That's going to be super nice on this account just for the mobility. And it looks like he has an assassinate, so he essentially can, it's an execute, essentially. So when he's stacking up these, it looks like he can stack up damage. All right, and during the ultimate, he triggers assassinate more often, so that's pretty neat. Let's see if he does anything interesting. No, the range doesn't change when he's maxed out. Okay. Well, I'm gonna get the team set up and then I'll come back and we'll get to work on Apoc 2. I think I have set up the team I'm interested in trying for Apoc 2. I think my biggest issue and what makes this a little bit clunky is we have too many healers. So usually you want to run 2 healers, but I need Elowen for the cleanse or some cleanser, and she's one of the best. I like Leia in order to be the Watcher buff, and I don't really have someone else that I would put in instead. There is the potential to consider using Rygar, but he's level 50 right now, and we would also not be giving a bonus to Eovar. So I think we're gonna go ahead and see how this goes. I think our goal is if we can get 8,000, that's success. If we can get 30,000, that's massive success. So I think even hitting bottom chest here would be great. So let's go ahead and get going. I think the other thing that would help us a lot long term is in order to have an A1 on Diao. So what is going on here? This is not the team I set up. It must have reset the team. Last week we did not have Leia. So I guess when I backed out to look at the chests and came back in is when it didn't like that. So we're still on Apocalypse 2. We don't need Nazasni for cleanse. Ivor does that. We're going to go ahead and use Leia. Draga is for damage down. Pharisee is for AoE damage reduction. Probably the one other dragging point here is Eliza, but just having a Piercer Lord, I don't think we have anyone that would be good enough to replace that. That's also like a primary damage dealer. So we're gonna slow it down and then restart it at single time speed. We'll put Diao here. We'll get our tank down right away. And we will get all of our melee DPS down. Then we're going to get Pharisee down. And I think this will cleanse everyone. We got lots of healing coverage. And we'll put Eliza in. I don't know if we're necessarily going to need her. So we didn't die on the initial slap, which is a good thing. And we are going to put the auto ults on. I will take probably the healers off and Sun Wukong. And we'll go like this. So we're going to use Elowen's AoE heal to help mitigate damage. With Elowen, we also get back to Sun Wukong's ultimate a lot faster. And we'll kind of just psycho healers here for that first phase. Although I'm starting to consider taking Elowen out. It seems kind of silly, but I don't see us making third phase. So I'm not sure it's worth getting her saved here. Let's see if we can clear to the next phase. We're kind of cutting it close, but we're able to make it through. I'm just going to keep rolling ults because we can squeeze a little bit of damage in between. and we're still able to live through. I'm starting to lean towards pulling Elowen out because I don't see us making it to the third phase. We probably won't have the damage to break through, but we're going to keep going just in case we do. I may eat those words, so this is why I think it's interesting to do these kinds of runs with these baby accounts, because we really kind of get to see like where our edges lay in terms of what we can conquer. But yeah, it's not looking at the current rate like we're gonna break through. What I might actually do is we'll see if we have enough healing, but put Ezio in instead, and that way we would have another Watcher with Leia. We would lose some of that rage regen as the major downside, but as long as we can hit, I don't think we're gonna have enough here to hit second chest, but it looks like we're getting first chest at least. So yeah, at least with this current setup, we're short of going to the next phase. So we're not going to save this. Oh, we need 8,000 just to make bottom chest. So we are short on damage anyway. So for some reason, I thought it was lower, even though I came out and looked at it. So yeah, let's adjust the team. We're going to take her out, and we need more damage. We'll see if Ezio is enough. The major problem with him is that, for one, we can't quite afford his artifact, but that's okay. We don't need to heal everyone. We'll just go ahead and use this one. The major problem with him is he's level 50. So we don't have the fodder to get him up. I'm not sure he would be the next one I would select to go up anyway. But let's take a look. That's a pretty nice ring there. Or a bangle. Just because it has all offensive stats, we're going to take it to 16. It didn't roll great, but man, gear is at such a premium early on. So, looking decent. Just anything with attack and crit, I think, was great. So, yeah, I think that's great. I think we skilled him up until we needed crystals. So, let's go ahead and see if using Ezio will allow us to break through to that first chest. I think we want to put... Man, I'm just trying to figure out how to maximize Diao. We'll go ahead and put her there. Oh, we're going to need to adjust. Ivor does not reach. Okay. I think I want to see where the limits. If I go like this, I think that's the way to go, honestly. So we're going to put Draga here to spread out. Our goal is to maximize how many people Diao can cover, but while not wasting Diao's inspiration on non-DPS classes. Okay, we should be able to go like this, go like this. Right now, I don't want to stress out our healers, so I'm not dropping Eliza until I get a better sense of where the damage is. And Ezio's actually doing really good damage comparatively, so this might end up paying off. I think the issue we're running into compared to the prior run is we are not getting back around to Sun Wukong's ult fast enough, but we didn't die here, so we held it for that rotation, and we'll have it right away here. So Ivor, Numera Silas, but Ezio's doing decent damage. I am hopeful that he will allow us to push up to the first chest. So I think Leia really shines with all of these watchers. Once again, we weren't able to get back around fast enough though. We may want to consider if um, we don't have Elwyn on the team, we might need to consider. Huh, we're not gonna break through. I think we maybe took too long to get everyone placed. We're definitely not gonna save that. I'm gonna go ahead and turn off the sound. I've noticed when I've listened to videos, it's not very loud, but it's kind of distracting for me there. So let's come back and see if we can hit that first chest. I'm pretty confident we can squeeze out first chest. We may need to shuffle the gear around a little bit though, but I think we have what we need. We're gonna go ahead though and get Sun Wukong down first. The reason that we're doing that is just to make sure that we make sure that we get his ultimate in. Okay. We'll go ahead and auto ult. Huh. Why? I thought I had turned him off auto. Okay, we need to adjust the auto ults. We'll give this a run, see if we fudge that first ultimate from Sun Wukong, so we're not gonna get the stuns in that we wanted, but it's okay. I think that we'll have him back in time to put some stuns on the boss now, so that shouldn't negatively impact us too much. But once again, I don't think we'll be back in time to get stuns up here. But it seems like between Fercy and Draga, we have enough mitigation, at least in the early phases, to survive. We will keep the ults rolling in between phases. The major reason why is you can pump some additional damage in there that you wouldn't necessarily get because there's a limited amount of damage you can do during the phases, but it doesn't count that in between time. Although it doesn't look like anyone was actively ulting in that transition, but we were running close on time, so I don't think it would necessarily be relevant to try and time that better. Okay, Sun Wukong's definitely the king here in terms of damage. One thing we might consider is putting some skill books into Sun Wukong. He would definitely benefit from it, and he's definitely our boss killer in terms of all of our characters. So I think that would be a fine investment. So, I mean, the one thing I think this also illustrates is how impactful it is to have Elwyn for damage, because even though she doesn't directly do damage. Just the fact that her her rage generation, we were closer, I think, with her in the team than off the team. We might try to bring Eliza in. Maybe that little bit of damage will allow us over the hump, because we're about 1700 short. But I think I'm gonna fully skill up Sun Wukong. It is an investment, but he is a character we're gonna use forever. So I think sometimes we can take for granted how much these skill books impact, and hopefully this is a good example of why. I hope I'm not dumping 10 crystals into him, or 9, and um, not getting that damage reflected back. So oh, we're out of dust. Interesting. So we're about 2 short, but we have, okay, well, let's see how much impact that makes. But let's take a look at Eliza's gear as well. We just want to put anything. We can put the set on her. It's pretty good. Oh, it doesn't have crit on it. That's why it's not showing it. There we go. So we're not going to steal gear from anyone, but I think we would like to put her in, okay, a little bit better of gear. I think there's a Twisted Blade set that we could use. Let's see if we can find it. Maybe we go like that. Not ideal, but we just want to get a little bit more damage out of her. So let's see if this setup runs a little bit better. I think we are not trying to time anyone's ults here. So it didn't seem like we were in danger of dying. So we're just going to pretty much full send it. And the only person we'll hold back is Diao, because we want her to stay in inspiration mode once we're there. And we're going to just let Sun Wukong go for it. It didn't seem to too negatively impact us taking some of these hits. I think just having Draga plus Pharisee means that we're not really in danger of dying in these transitions. Yeah, see, Eliza, she just doesn't do hardly anything. And I might look over our units a little bit more and see if there's somebody that's worth swapping in instead. I mean, the issue, Rygar has the defense reduction to put on the boss, but the downside is you either give up the Lord for the Piercers, which is Numeris Silas, or you give up having Leia as your damage reduce. I mean, as your Watcher Lord, and then only Sun Wukong would benefit from having a a lord. The one thing we could consider though is swapping in, and long term what we'll do potentially is use Rygar with Volca instead of Draga. The reason being is Volca has a boss reduction she puts on the boss as a damage reduction she puts on the boss as well, and she can do some damage, as where we don't expect any real damage out of Draga. Um, yeah, so yeah, we can definitely tell Ezio's suffering from not being 60. I'm a little surprised Salus is this slow. But let's go ahead and see if we're able to clear this. It is nice to have Ivor able to cleanse the boss. Just being able to get this buff on him means we have the option to break through. We were at 6,300 the last fight, so let's see. If it made much of a difference to skill up Sun Wukong and put some gear. Sadly, it doesn't seem that it did. That's unfortunate. I think Sun Wukong definitely benefited, but I think we're pushing up against some of the limitations of not having all 60s. But I'm going to swap the team around a little bit. So let's see if we drop Leia and we bring her back in. I'm going to drop Ezio because without the Watcher Lord. And we're going to drop Draga. And we're going to try to go with Rygar. And we're going to use Volca. So the one thing is we need Rygar to have some health. He's going to kind of be the pseudo tank as well, but we don't need to go crazy. You see, like, this piece is great if it rolls decent for him, because it's really like a bruiser piece. It didn't roll that well, though. Let's see if we have other pieces. See, this, I think we're going to swap. No, we need some of our best pieces on Rygar. I mean, on Sun Wukong. We can go like this. We're giving him a broken set. It is what it is. He is mostly there just to debuff, but we'd like him to be able to do some damage as well. And we are not worrying about Eliza at all in terms of damage. She did not add much, if anything. So then we're gonna see if we can get Boca. We don't have Dust if we wanted to get her skills up. This is where we're running into. Let's see if there's anyone we can swap her gear with. We're just gonna unequip her. And we took Ezio out, so we're gonna steal his gear. All right, let's see if making this change is helpful. Eliza's damage was so low, I don't think we're going to put her back in, just because a lot of the people that we're bringing in are not 60, and so our healing is going to be spread a little more thin than it usually is. So, okay, we're going to mess with these settings a little bit. So we're going to put Diao here. I'm going to put Sun Wukong here. We're just trying to maximize the people that are getting Diao's inspiration. Oh, we lost Sun Wukong. Okay, he might be the highest health right now, so he's acting as the tank. I think we need to gear Rygar just in straight HP stats so that he can be kind of our pseudo tank. I think I'll just steal Drago's gear to put on him if we're honest. We're using him more like a Torador than Rygar, but because he's not 60, I don't think that he will be able to put up numbers. Ultimately, we need him more as a tank and a debuffer and a lord than we need him as anything else. All right, let's see if this makes a difference. Hopefully this is informative. I do enjoy doing these kind of we can't have Sun Wukong down there because he'll be outside of Diao's inspiration range. So he needs to be here. Rygar needs to be here. And it's kind of unfortunate Numera is outside of the inspiration range, but we take what we can get. So the interesting question here is this going to let us do more damage? Oops, sorry, hit the mic with my cup there. I think, not having Leia as the Lord for Ivor, you're seeing Silas pull ahead in damage, and we take for granted how much of a bump that matters. But mostly we're going to have to see if we can, for one, make it through this phase. So did switching everyone out, see, because Vulcan and Rygar are just not doing that much damage, but theoretically a little bit more. The question is, is it worth it? And, if we can make it through this phase, that's a good indicator that it's close at least. But we might try to change Diao's positioning. I think there's a better positioning for her. So the issue that we're having is getting Numera into that range. But I think if we put Diao down here, we can. And then we can have Numera here. We can have Rygar here. Yeah, that gets more people in, and we will need to put, we'll put him here, there, and I suppose we can drop her, even though I don't expect them to do much damage. They may just die. We're going to also hold off for everyone's ults till we switch Diao inspiration on. And we see the roses hit, and then we go. So let's see. We were cutting it pretty close previously in terms of doing enough damage before the next phase. Everybody's ults are on, so let's see if this Diao placement helps us to push through. It's one of those things where, the benefit of the debuff from Rygar for defense down just may not be worth giving up Leia. if Rygar was 60 and we could kit him out more as a bruiser, like somebody who does damage that's also the tank, I think he'll definitely shine here. But then the trade-off is we have all these new Watcher characters in Ezio and Ivor, so it's kind of a trade-off. It looks like we're gonna break through here a little bit quicker, so that is a good sign. The next phase and breaking into trying to hit that 8K. This will be interesting. The biggest thing that we're gonna need to do is clear this before the timer runs out. So can we do enough damage to clear the boss before the timer goes to 0? I think making sure Silas was in Diao's range has been very helpful for his damage. Also, Numera being above Ivor, that was not true, but I don't think our placement was as good in that run. So we're gonna go ahead and take her off auto ults. The main reason is in case we break into the next phase, we want to be ready to cleanse if we need to. Because not only do we need to clear this phase, but we also need to hit 8K damage. So it's kind of a both that we're trying to do. Yeah, so we're still right there at that 6,300. It didn't seem to make much difference, that adjustment. So I don't feel that's the way to go. I really am confident that we can hit that 8K, but not sure. If we could get Ezio to 60, I think it would be a done deal. I'm going to pause this video and just kind of look around, see what it would take to try to get him up. All right, so I wanted to come back and say, I think what we're going to do is try to do some re-gearing. Unless we blow a lot of diamonds, I don't see us getting Ezio to 6-star today. We do have these Darkfall enhancement gems, so I'm just putting a little bit on everybody. I'm not. They are pretty expensive to use, so I can't keep re-rolling. But everybody, all our best gear is just getting the treatment. I think the other thing we're going to do is we're re-gearing Silas using crit damage gear. So all of our best crit damage gear is going onto him. And the reason being is that we're going to throw a skill up on him. We have the option. The reason that we're doing that is his skill here ignores defense and magic resistance during the ultimate. So most of his damage comes from the ultimate. So we just want him to do as much damage as possible. So there was some of these characters were wearing crit damage gear just because it was better than what else we had. But I think that it may have been holding him back. Here, we're going to put this piece on just because that'll give us a full insight set. Maybe not. That was a pretty big drop there. So, okay. So we're almost 100% crit rate here. Yeah, so I think we'll go that route there. He's in all crit damage gear. Okay, we can put a gem on here. These gems are rolling pretty decent. Since that is a quad, we're gonna throw a gem into there. We're burning through our gold pretty quickly, but I think we're using it on pieces that we're gonna use for a while. So these are our kind of our damage superstars. The one thing that we can also look at is Diao-chan. Oh, okay, we need to get her in a piece that is attack. That can go to 16. So, yeah, let's use this piece. That's going to help her a lot. And we want to see if there's anything else that increases her attack. That one does a little bit. Maybe not enough to justify. That's a pretty big boost in attack too. Unfortunately, no, that's such a good DPS piece. I think I'm gonna hold off. Although let's see if anyone else needs it. Yeah, that's a pretty big improvement right there. What are we giving up? Mostly we're giving up rage regen. I think we're gonna go with it though. Okay, so mostly we've spent some time just tweaking everyone's gear. We want to try to push our damage a little bit more. So we're going to go back to the Leia route with Ezio. We need to put some gear back on Ezio, and we need our Draga back as well. I'm just blind. There we go. I believe we swapped Ryger's gear onto Draga. Oh, he's level 50. I'm like, where is he? Okay. Let's see if we can find level 16 gear to put on her. Yeah. And we would like a piece with attack and crit on it, ideally. She's in Warlord. He's holding the only piece. Man, this one doesn't even have attack, so we're not going to roll that one up. Let's not go by set and see what we can find. I think that's a good piece. And I think that's a good piece. So potentially we're a little low on crit with her. Let's see if there's a higher crit percent item that we have available. Yeah. Just looking for the most balanced one that we can roll up. Let's see what this comes out with. Yeah, that's when we're taking to 16. Okay. So I am hopeful that these tweaks are going to let us do more damage. We also did some tweaks or some upgrades to everyone's artifacts. So, oh, Ezio needs some gear. I'm not sure if you guys would rather see the whole process and have a really long video, or if you just want to see the results. So I've oftentimes just let these videos run super long. I think, iterating through things like Apoc and Abyss and guild bosses, it takes some time. It's a process, and I'm not sure if people would rather see the results of the process or if they just want to see if they want to see the whole process. So go ahead and let me know. Um, do you find value in seeing the process through, or would you rather just see how it all works out once we have it figured out? So I think for today we're gonna leave it in. But if I get enough people that would prefer more concise videos, let me know and I can adjust. I am flexible. Okay, I just need to see where everybody is so I can get started right away. So we want to get Draga down first, just so we don't get slapped into oblivion. Then Diao, so we can start her as soon as possible. All right. Okay, so that's our setup. We are going to wait for Diao's ult to come up, and then once that hits, we're going to auto ult on everyone. Let's see if these tweaks to people's gear and artifacts is going to give us the umph that we need to break through. The only downside to the current setup is we don't have Elwyn in order to cleanse, so we need to make sure that we can do that 8k before we die, even if we break the next shield. But let's just see if we can break through before we worry about that too much. It feels like we're ahead on damage, but let's get there before we worry about it too much. So it feels like we're a little bit ahead. We do have some ults going off in the in-between phase, which I appreciate. That lets us put a little bit more damage into the boss. But once again, we were within like 20 seconds or so of being able to make that transition. So I don't think it's necessarily valuable enough to hold on that. So we're just going to keep rolling here. So it feels like we're doing a little bit better on damage, but I am not 100% sure. Numera is definitely closer to Sun Wukong, but Silas seems to be a little bit lower. I wonder if putting the crit damage gear on him, maybe more of his damage comes from auto attacking than it seems, and that potentially may bring his damage down. But we did put some of that gear on Numera, so to some degree, we're just moving around that same damage as we re-gear. So we are ahead. The question is, can we break through? And what we might need to do is, instead of using Ezio, we're going to put Elwyn in. I think less because we need the extra healing, but just that Ezio, he's not contributing enough damage. And so we need the rage from Elwyn will help push us over, is what I'm hopeful for. So let's try it again, but we're going to put Elwyn in instead. Oh, we didn't have Ivor on this team. That's a pretty big difference there too. But I'm going to make the adjustment without trying to go back. I think the other issue We really need to squeeze every second we can get um, out of here. So I think the other issue that we're going to run into as well is we may need this cleanse going into oh, okay, no, Numeric can't be there because we need the Diao inspiration. Sorry. Let's get Diao down first. We'll get Sun Wukong facing that way. The major reason he's facing away is his clones spawn in his ultimate range. And we really want that ultimate range to be as open as possible from other placed units. So I think we have everybody that we ideally want in Diao's inspiration range there. And we can go ahead and let's see. Okay, so I see the inspiration going up, and we're going to use everybody's ults. The one thing I did notice in the last run, and we may need to take Ivor off auto ults, is that, and I think going into the next phase we might, is that the boss had multiple time frames where he had a lot of the buffs on him that we needed cleansed off sooner. And so maybe if we can better control that. See, here Silas is beating Numera, so I'm curious to try to understand. And it might just be the timing. Sometimes when you use auto ults, you can kind of throw your timings out of whack. But also, it may be the uptime on ultimates, because having Elowen is going to let Silas just consistently ult more often. We're going to take Ivar off of auto ults because we want to time his ult to be able to cleanse more. And I wonder if that also contributes. See, we waited there, and now he's able to cleanse this buff off with a better timing. So I wonder if having Elowen will also be a benefit because we can better control how those debuffs gets cleansed. But it looks like he also just cleanses it on his own, so we shall see. It feels like we're pretty close to where we were, although I think we were below 50% last time at a minute 30, and we're significant. It looks like we're ahead right now, so let's go ahead and try to cleanse those off. Yeah, so hopefully this helps us to push through. It feels like we are lined up much better here because previously we were at 6,300 when things were failing. So here we're not going to wait. We're just going to get that going right away. It looks like we are going to clear this phase. So it took a lot of work. We still need to survive next phase and hit the 8K, but it looks like we're in a good position to do that. So we're going to wait for that second poison to come in, then we're going to use Elowen to cleanse. Unfortunately, Dreg is outside of the poison, but our realistic goal here is only to hit 8K. Even if we were to get back, I don't think that we would be able to clear this. So to clear the next phase and push up to the next chest. So we are holding on well here. Dreg is actually doing a surprising job of staying alive. So I think with a little bit of gear, we shouldn't have too much of a problem progressing here in Apoc. I keep wanting to call it Abyss, even though it's not. We're actually doing better job here clearing than we did with the last phase. So We're gonna keep on keeping on. I think Sun Wukong is really shining there. We did lose Draga. She was not cleansed. Um, and that's going to hurt us a lot because she was our damage reducer. But we're going to just keep on pushing, see where we can go here. Um, the concern is without Draga reducing the damage, we're going to have people start dying. So that's okay. I think for this week, I consider it a major success in order to be able to hit that bottom chest. So, we're under 4 weeks in on the account, and being able to hit that bottom chest is a big deal. We did get Draga back in. I am curious if we're going to be able to go to the next phase. It is unfortunately we did lose Elo in there because her rage regen uh, really keeps kind of the engine of the DPS running, and we kind of take for granted how much that impacts us. Uh, we will have to probably use Hollow for our Apoc1. Yeah, we lost Elwyn again. She may just need to have her HP beefed up a little bit, but man, we're reasonably close here to uh, clearing to the next phase. Did we get no? Oh my goodness, not quite. Um, I think we're gonna save it here. Although I think if we really squeezed it, we might get 20k. I don't think this week 30k is in the cards. So, um, I think that's a huge success though, because the very bottom chest of Apocalypse is better than the top chest. Uh, Bottom chest of Apoc2 is better than top chest of Apoc1. Um, let's go ahead and see if we can throw together some scraps to do something in here. And we say scraps, but man, we've got a lot better scraps than we did not too long ago. So we're gonna use Rygar and we're gonna use Volca. Both are great as just for their set. We're gonna use Malvira as our tank. Um, we're gonna use Ezio. Our issue here is lacking 60s, if I'm being honest. We may just throw in whoever we have that's 60. Uh, she's our cleanser, so just in case we get there, and I think we will. And Zaris he's our offensive cleanser, she's our defensive cleanser. And we have Hollow. Huh. Interesting setup. The only issue, I'm going to pause this video so it doesn't go forever, but I'm going to swap everyone's gear so they have decent gear. All right, so we're coming back in. We're going to see where we can go. I think if we can hit 8,000 or 15,000, that would be amazing. But even, it totally destroyed the team I had set up. Okay, that's unfortunate. I shouldn't have backed out. So we're going to go with Rygar. She'll be damage reduction. We're going to go with Ezio. Going to go with Hollow. He's our offensive cleanse. She's the defensive cleanse. And Malvira's our tank. Healer, healer. Let's just go with Idro. She's 60. We can swap some gear onto her. Wait. Trying to see who would have the best gear for her to take. She's probably better off in the gear than Ezio, unfortunately. I don't know. Huh. All right.
Your mug. Your mug. Look.
All right. Sorry, we got a little bit lost in the weeds there, but let's see how far we can get on Apoc 1 with kind of this maybe it's unkind to say, but the scraps set up, right? Like these are the ones that this is what we got left. So once again, we're kind of limited by we're gonna take Zaris off of auto ults. We're a little bit limited by not having an inspiration unit. We could technically develop Dolores, but once again, it's the same issue we have is we don't have the resources to level them up enough to be effective. So I think at this point, we're better off to use what we have um, to just see how far we can get. Oh, we're losing healers here. That's not a good sign. I think we are just a pretty scraping the bottom of the barrel on composition here. So that's okay. Um, I would say we only have a couple 60s. It looks like most of our damage is coming from Rygar, who's a level 50. Um, so we will just keep riding it out, though. Start to put people back in. Just see where this comp can take us. We do need to get Zaris back up, though. If we truly expect to continue, just for that cleanse. Although it looks like we're just gonna get smacked down. And like I said, I didn't have high hopes here, but we just like to see how we can push content. I think the biggest thing though is being able to get any chest from both Apoc 1 and Apoc 2 is just such a major upgrade. I feel like there is kind of this instinct to try to get a max chest on Apoc 1, but I think the point of this video is to show why that's a mistake. Because being able to get two chests, you can just get more. Um, you Each level of chest only adds an additional item, so I think the difference from the bottom Apoc chest to the top is 4 potential items in there, but you know, going to Apoc 2, it's even more items and the quality is a little bit better than anything that Apoc 1 has to offer. So I think we're going to save this chest. Just take the bottom chest here. I don't think we were in range for the second chest. Um, no, I think that's a good place to be. Just to get any chest is good. We've been going for a little over an hour, and that's just the recorded time, not including other work that I put in. But like I said, we get 7 items here, including potential ancients, and here it's only 11. So the major thing is we can't get divines, but I'm more interested in the ancients than the divines. And then we look at the bottom chest here, and we get 12. So essentially, if we hit top chest in Apoc 1, we would get 11 items, but hitting bottom chest here gives us 12, which is more, and then we get an additional 7 here. So I hope this was informative to you. I know it's a long video. If you made it this far, congratulations. You enjoy hearing me yap, but I hope the process was beneficial to you.